is organized by China Hong Kong Culture Exchange Association, CNHK, and sponsored by Equal Opportunities Commission, EOC. I am Janice Wong, an intern at CNHK, and I will be serving as MC today. We are delighted to have you here with us today as we discuss issues about inequality in Hong Kong. And we cannot wait to learn from our keynote speakers and panelists. In these 2.5 hours, we aim to review current solutions for equal opportunities among ethnic minorities and to explore new methods to reach Sustainable Development Goal number 10, reduced inequalities, as set by the United Nations. To begin our session, we are honored to have Mr. Jonathan Lai, Chairman of organizer China Hong Kong Culture Exchange Association, to give his welcoming remarks. You may come on stage right now. Yeah. Yeah, this is where all guest speakers will, yeah. All right. As chairman of CNHK, Education Advisory Committee of Hong Kong Baptist University, and principal of Lee Kao-Yan Memorial School, Mr. Lai is interested in topics related to the governance of public organizations and how public corporations in education can connect with the community and the global environment. Without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Jonathan Lai again.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to join our seminar. I call it seminar because, well, actually we have two venues for this seminar this afternoon. We have quite a number of prestigious guests joining our seminar in the venue, but at the same time, I understand that we have a lot of people who would like to know how we can further improve the community attending this seminar at your own workstations. So welcome to join us. Want to feel better? If you want to feel better, you have to raise your head and look up to the sky. You find that, well, it's a sunny afternoon. It's true that, well, if you look at the clouds, well, it changes shape from time to time. What can we learn from this? Well, despite the challenges we have been facing in the past 2 years in Hong Kong, about say in this global village, it seems that sometimes we're living in the dark without any direction. But don't worry about that. I'm pretty sure that this afternoon will change your mind and view completely because we have a number of committed people working in different sections of our community with the hope that we're to bring some good changes to the community. Well, in all aspects. We have the Undersecretary from the government, Mr. Jonathan Ho, well, another Jonathan of me, all right, and he will, yeah, we have two Jonathans this afternoon, so it's Jonathan this afternoon. Okay, this is really great. And we have also, he will share something about employment issues in Hong Kong. And also we have Mr. Ricky G, let me call Ricky G, all right, to join us, well, to let you know something about the EOC in Hong Kong, the EOC issues in Hong Kong. We have another principal, join us as Principal Leung, and just like me, we're serving in some community schools. We would like to let you know, well, how we look at the needs of the young people in the coming future. But what's most encouraging is that we have some young people joining us seminar this afternoon. We have Ms Alexandra Lo from Above Challenge. Well, she will talk to you about something about how sports can bring you some changes, not just to your physique. I mean, not just to help you, teach you how to keep fit, but how to keep your mind fit for the change of the coming of this world, right? And we have young people like Tiffany. Well, she's from Upower. She will let you know about how young people look at this fast-changing world. And we're particularly happy to have Brigitte to be among us. Well, she's from Heart to Here, and she's really, really lovely young girl with of mixed parentage. Well, that's to say, well, she's walking between two cultures and trying to put these two cultures into a salad bowl. and make it something yummy for life. Well, she will let you know how to lead a life in a better way later on. Of course, we must have someone there of great quality to be a mediator to lead our discussion. So we're happy to have Mr. Nelson Yip. He's very good at riding horses, but today he's going to show you the skills in leading our discussion. Now, the topic today is community shape. As an education worker myself, this is a question that we all have to think about because, well, how our community will shape is changing the future. It's affecting the future of every young people living around you. So this is very important. But there's three key words on the banner of today's assembly. It's about accessibility. When we talk about accessibility, it's talking about the accessibility of the public to the social resources, the accessibility of the younger generation of people of all ages in our community to opportunities to aspire to achieve their dreams. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about inclusion. Oh, of course, we are putting this in action today because we will include you to join our assembly, even though you are now working or sitting at your workstation. Inclusion is very important. How we can include people of all ethnic groups of a community into this community, into this society to make it a better one. I think this is an issue of everyone's concern, and we'll dive into the discussion of that unless we're going to acknowledge one thing, and we see the beauty of this element, that's diversity. I think a diverse community, a diverse organization is always good to me as a leader of a school. I all the time encourage my teachers and fellow colleagues to hold a view that it's really good for us to uphold diversity. What I mean is that if everything is uniform, we just got one view, one perspective, we can't, never will we make our world a better one for us. Diverse is good. But how can we embrace diversity while more harmony prevails? That is respect. We respect the differences between you and me and among people. I really hope that everyone will have a very, very fruitful and enjoyable afternoon. And I encourage every one of you, if you're sitting in front of the camera, if you're sitting among us in a venue, please make contributions. Please share your views with us, because with your views, only with your views, can make our afternoon, this afternoon, become a meaningful and fruitful one to all. May I wish you all a very, very happy afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lai, for your sharing and your succinct introduction about our forum today. And as Mr. Lai has mentioned, we hope that everyone online and offline today will be able to contribute to this fruitful discussion so that we can make this whole event super meaningful. So thank you, Mr. Lai. So I would like to introduce you to our first keynote speaker, Mr. Ricky Trumankin, IDS. Mr. Chu has been the chairperson at the Equal Opportunities Commission since 2019, and he worked at the Independent Commission Against Corruption, the ICAC, and the Independent Police Complaints Council, the IPCC, prior to joining the EOC. At the EOC, Mr. Chu leads the commission in enforcing anti-discrimination ordinances to promote equal opportunities in Hong Kong. May we now invite Mr. Ricky Chu to deliver his keynote speech.
You. So so I have to operate this. I hope I know how to operate it. And yeah, despite of what the MC mentioned about my experience. I'm seriously lacking in one particular area, is the operation of new media skills. So, well, I hope I can manage it. So, Mr. Lai, Undersecretary Mr. Ho, Mr. Leung, and Nelson, fellow speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really my pleasure to be here today. For in this forum, I reckon that I can, at the same time, share and learn. So by order of the presentation, let me share first, and then I probably will have ample opportunities to learn from all the rest of you later on today. First of all, I would like to recap a little bit of the brief history. I pressed the button twice. It doesn't work. Is it the arrow here? Yeah, it does. So first of all, I'd like to recap a little bit on the history of the Equal Opportunities Commission. In short, we call it EOC. It was established in 1996, and coincidentally, this year is our 25th anniversary. And the enabling ordinance setting up the commission is called the Sex Discrimination Ordinance, which was set up slightly prior to the setup of the EOC. And in the next 2 years, 96 and 97, two further anti-discrimination ordinance were also gazetted, i.e. the Disability Discrimination Ordinance and the Family Status Discrimination Ordinance, which follow closely. And you will note that we have a fourth anti-discrimination ordinance called the Race Discrimination Ordinance. But I have to say that the gazetting of this fourth ordinance only come about 12 years later. It gives us an indication racial issues, particularly equality issues, are really complicated in Hong Kong setting. There is one more distinguished characteristics of this race discrimination ordinance. It does not apply to government powers and functions, which is slightly different from the other three ordinances. And as I unfold the representation, maybe you will know why. The functions of the Equal Opportunities Commission are threefold. First is the law enforcement aspect. We have a function to perform complaint handling and investigation. For receiving complaints by EOC, the complainant need to identify himself or herself. In other words, we do not entertain anonymous complaint. For one simple reason, because for the EOC to exercise the law enforcement power, including taking the cases to court, we adopt a civil approach. In civil proceedings, the EOC would be representing the plaintiff. So unless the plaintiff identify himself or herself, we couldn't take the case forward. So that's why it has to be an identifiable complaint. And the purpose of the EOC taking a complaint initially is not for taking the offenders or the respondents to court. We mainly aim at conciliation, resolving the problem peacefully. If we receive a complaint saying that one person discriminates against another, no matter it's because of the other party's gender or disability or race, color, etc., we aim at achieving a mutually agreeable resolution of the problem. We call it conciliation. But real life is cruel. Conciliation cannot be always successful. After we try to conciliate and the process fails, then Another division in EOC comes into the picture, the legal service division. We would have to consider whether we would provide legal assistance to the plaintiff to take the case to court. In considering this process, we do not aim at securing a so-called conviction or successful outcome, i.e., we don't consider the chance of the plaintiff winning the case. It is not the EOC consideration. The consideration is that, first, whether the complainant or the plaintiff could take the case to court by his or her own strength. If not, then we may step in, so-called to help the weaker party. Second point, we will assess whether we have sufficient weight of evidence to put the case to court. Otherwise, it will waste everybody's time. Third element, we will consider whether the case can bring about a point to the public interest or a new law point that the public ought to seek clarification. So these are the criteria we use for taking a case to court. Apart from law enforcement, we also have a function of conducting public education. Here we are talking about how to enhance the public's awareness on the value of equality. And lastly, we have policy advocacy, in which we are making, we would conduct study reports on a wide range of subjects focused on equality within the 4 ordinance ambit. And then where appropriate, we would produce various recommendations on either improving the existing law or improve the government's policy, or even the executive measures. We will seek improvement and we will make recommendations to the government for their consideration. Should I point the pointer to the? Yeah, it works better. So here in EOC, we adopt the following vision as I read it out. We create a pluralistic and inclusive society free of discrimination, where there is no barrier to the equal opportunities. And our goal is to instigate a stronger legal framework for better protection of our community from discrimination. We aim at maintaining an effective and efficient redress system, and we develop stronger evidence and knowledge base of discrimination. We aim at reduce inequalities for communities at high risk. And finally, we deliver organizational excellence. Now we come to the focus of the day. I'll be talking about race discrimination ordinance. As I mentioned before, this ordinance was only enacted 12 years ago, so relatively a young ordinance. The aim of this ordinance is to make it unlawful to discriminate or harass or vilify a person on the basis of his or her race, color, or descent, but not necessarily, I need to clarify, resident status, nationality, or language. These 3 characteristics may not necessarily constitute race discrimination. It depends on some circumstances. But definitely color, descent, and race come into under its jurisdiction. Now, when we apply the concept of accessibility in the racial context, here I will refer to accessibility to information mainly. In the race discrimination ordinance context, we are saying that for the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong, one of the main difficulties affecting their well-being and livelihood is the language barrier. Hong Kong is overwhelmingly populated by Chinese-speaking people. In Hong Kong at the moment, we have about 8% of our population as ethnic minorities. In absolute number, it means a little bit more than 600,000 people in Hong Kong. And for the main business in EOC, we also, when we talk about ethnic minority, we are mainly talking about business and well-being amongst the South Asian and the Southeast Asians. Although by definition, European, American, Japanese, etc., are all ethnic minorities, but as you will see, our main focus of work would be concentrated on South Asian and Southeast Asians. Now, the main problem for ethnic minorities in Hong Kong in accessing to information, particularly in the pandemic time, is that although in the younger generation, when we meet bright people like Brigitte, and we will see that, oh, what's the problem? Ethnic minority youth in Hong Kong can speak fluent Cantonese, but in reality, many of them can only speak, and that's the problem. Many of the ethnic minority members, they can just speak the dialogue, but not reading the word, the Chinese word. And this would hamper their chances of getting a decent job or even trying to get higher education. And that would invariably result in ethnic minority population, the living standard would be below the mainstream community. And this is clearly shown by our statistics. So the main focus of the EOC's work, on the one hand, is to break down this language barrier. And we do it by a number of measures. First, we are in regular contact with the Education Bureau. At the moment, we are trying painstakingly to collaborate with EDB and some of the universities, trying to develop or convince them to develop a comprehensive language curriculum aiming at achieving fluency by the ethnic community members by learning Chinese as a second language. We have compared the situation between Hong Kong and the mainland. And on one occasion, when I reached out to an ethnic minority representative, I happened to, he was a senior member, so I happened to ask him one personal question. I asked him, how do your son study Chinese? Oh, he said, oh, that's relatively simple. I sent him to Guangzhou. And after 2 years, he came back and he speak, read, write fluent Chinese. So then on another time, I asked a professor in a local university who is developing an experimental program on EM learning Chinese language as a second language. And I asked him, well, if the mainland can be so successful, what's the problem of Hong Kong adopting the same curriculum? And he said, there is, yes, Ricky, you may be right, but say for one big difference. In Hong Kong, we aim at teaching Cantonese, whereas in mainland, they teach Putonghua. So he said, we cannot just simply straightforwardly adopt all the curriculums, textbooks, etc. from the mainland. We need to derive our own. And it makes the whole difference, because apparently the concept of EDB and some of the local university language facility professors are not the same. So this is a little bit complicated, and we are still working with various parties to try to make it a happy ending. So in practice, since the COVID-19 starts spreading about a year ago, we have some real life encounter with the ethnic minority communities, and we found that they are suffering from the following difficulties and challenges. So now I guess I have to. Yeah. Main difficulties we found are they are experiencing incomplete or delayed access of health protection and safety information, particularly in the beginning time of the pandemic. It was about a year ago. Many EM communities complained to us that they were left behind. They don't know what the government is going to implement as a pandemic containment measures, etc. And then at that time, sometimes we have to provide, the UOC provide informal translation and interpretation of the government notices. We put it up on our website. We personally attended meetings with the ethnic minorities, community leaders, etc. And we urge the government to pay more attention on the translation, interpretation, and the broadcasting issues to include ethnic minorities' language for their consideration. The situation now has substantially improved, and I'm glad to report that. So lately, we receive relatively much less complaints in this area. However, the access of information overall is really still affected by the language barrier. And in this context, we also examine another area, which is the ethnic minority language translation and interpretation facilities in Hong Kong. And we found that they are not of the same standard, mainly because we don't have a central authority implementing measures on this. I'll give you the example, like for court interpreters, for judicial, for the law enforcement, they have their own pool of translators and interpreters. But this same pool of personnel may not be used by, say, a social welfare department or by private organizations, companies. They have their own source of interpreters and translators. Particularly, you're talking about the so-called SIs, the simultaneous interpretation. So, and these practitioners, we observe, they are mainly freelance. So their skill level, their governance level are all different. So making the system, although it works in practice, but it's undesirable. So in 2018, we commissioned a university to conduct a survey report, and the findings are now tabled before the EOC. We are examining the recommendations and findings. After digesting it, we should be able to make certain recommendations to the government, hopefully to standardize this facility or to improve the standard somewhat. So we are working hard on this one. Now, I go to the issue of diversity. In Hong Kong, since the pandemic, one of the complaints that we received early are from the foreign domestic helpers. The kind of complaint that we received in those days, mainly starting from June last year, when you see people from Philippines, from Pakistan, from India, they have difficulties to finding flights returning to Hong Kong because the traffic restriction becomes more and more stringent. And then we start to receive a number of complaints, the nature of which I can summarize it, and like from the foreign domestic helpers. They're complaining that they may be barred from going out on leave days So every Sunday, Saturday, when they take leave, normally we see them gather around in the Central or in some leisure place. Previously, it's all right. But then since the pandemic, their employers, many employers, bar them from doing so. And it really damper their welfare very much. So they start to complain to the EOC on this one. And then some are even more serious. It is unreasonable dismissals on dubious grounds on the pretext of pandemic prevention. Real life example is I got a foreign domestic helper coming to me saying that right after she fly back from Philippines, she need to go to a hotel for separation. And then upon the completion of quarantine, she was dismissed for of course, some other reason unrelated. But she ventured that it was because her employer was still worried that, well, you were coming back from Philippines, and Philippines has quite a large number of COVID-19 cases. So this kind of unreasonable dismissal in those days, just a few months ago, we received quite a number of complaints. So eventually we issue press statements, we make announcements, clarifying that really if an employer is proven to dismiss foreign domestic helpers on grounds relating to COVID-19, then the employer would have committed the offense of disability discrimination. Because in Hong Kong, it is unlawful to render a person lesser treatment for the reason of suspecting that person contracting a disease or for disability reasons. So we explained to employer organization that you cannot do this. And the situation seems to be improving because we now, in the last couple of months, we don't receive this kind of complaint anymore. Have I switched it because I cannot see it? No. Yeah. And one more example I wish to quote here is a recent happening. Recently, if you pay attention to the news, you will see that in one of the Facebook or some public entries, there is a post saying that, oh, I want to order a takeaway food from a delivery room, but please, no Pakistan. So we received complaint on the very same night when this post was put up. And that's why on the same night, by next morning, we issue a press statement condemning the practice. But unfortunately, you know what? This kind of post does not constitute race discrimination. I didn't believe it myself when I asked my legal counsel, and he confirmed that it was the case. It's because of the incomplete wording of the Race Discrimination Ordinance 12 years ago. Because in those days, no one foresee race discrimination can happen under such circumstances. What the ordinance specify as an offense of race discrimination in this scenario is only one-sided, i.e., if I am the service provider, you are the customer. You come in and I refuse service because of your skin color, your race. I commit an offense, but not the other way around. If you are a customer, you enter a restaurant, a waiter comes to you as he is from a different race. and you tell the waiter, I don't want your service. Just that, no more. And you are safe. You don't commit against under-rated discrimination. Of course, if you say one further word, then you may be in trouble. If you say, oh, because you are dark, I don't want you, then you commit an offense. Why? Because it is more than just discrimination. It's racial verifying remark. By commenting on the skin color, you are degrading you can be interpreted as degrading the person. Then it's more serious. But if you simply say that, no, I don't want your service, then the law cannot do anything about it. But not the other way around. If I am a restaurant owner, I refuse service, then even though I don't give out any verifying remark, I still commit an offense. So this is the incompleteness of the ordinance, a little bit one-sided. So having learned from this example, we are now contemplating, we will study the subject matter more thoroughly to see if it's feasible or it's appropriate for the law to be amended to provide a more comprehensive coverage. Now, apart from that, we are now conducting a PR campaign. You will probably see this poster in the MTR. It would be posted up there for about 3 months. We are promoting the campaign of fighting the virus as one race. Disregard how different we look, where do we come from? We just member of the same city. Now, we come to the inclusion. Yeah, just last year in 2020, we conducted a study report, and we have some interesting findings to share with you. In the report, we found that ethnic minority youths perceived that they would only have limited job ability and a narrow career path, mainly owing to language barriers and, of course, some perceived discrimination. Employers just don't like to employ ethnic minorities for unspoken reason, but we all know why. And they also figured that they have limited exposure to diverse career options. And the third finding is really annoying and give us something to think about. We interviewed a number of SMEs, the small and medium enterprises operators. They generally agree that it is understandable for them not to employ locally educated ethnic minorities. So can you figure out the logic? Yeah. We asked a little bit reason why they think it's acceptable. They explained to us that because we are small and medium enterprise operators, by definition, their company only have 5 or 6 staff at most, some even lesser. They say we don't have the variety of jobs that suits the ethnic minorities because say we want people who can read, write, and speak Cantonese, Putonghua, and they can mix with Chinese people, not only in Hong Kong, but in mainland, etc., etc. So he said, please understand our difficulties. If we were an international enterprise, then it would be easier because for an international firm, they have a much wider range of positions that they can offer to all different characteristics of people. But we are only a small enterprise having 3 employees. So what do we do? That's why they say they accept it, although it's undesirable. So armed with finding, the lesson for us to learn is that the EOC really has a lot to do to educate the local small enterprise employers to change their mindset. So that's an interesting finding, but that's also a hard lesson to learn. Okay, for the benefit of time, I better speed up a little bit. Now, just another common phenomenon of discrimination that I feel duty-bound to introduce to you. One other difficulties that are found between the EM communities in Hong Kong is when they want to lease a premises. We have received a lot of complaints saying that landlords or even the property agents refuse to entertain EM tenants by making up all sorts of reasons. When they want to visit the flat, they always say that, oh, the owner was not there, not available for viewing. In fact, the real reason is they don't want to lease the premises to ethnic minorities. Some quote a very ridiculous reason. And oh, they always cook strange stuff, releasing a unbearable smell, that sort of thing. It's really horrifying. So we have been in contact with the estate agency authority. We have communicated with local property agents. We try to set up meetings and training sessions to alleviate such labeling effect. We think it's very, very unhealthy. But yeah, works need to be done in this area as well. Now, this is another report that we have done since 2018. We have done 3 reports on the educational issues about EM students learning Chinese. So I've mentioned that before, so I won't go into detail. Now, all these slides I'm going to show you is a little bit sidetracked. I just want to mention it without going into detail, that in June 2020, just a few months ago, Hong Kong government has gazetted a total of 8 pieces of legislative amendment on all the 4 anti-discrimination ordinance, which are widely welcomed by the community, including breastfeeding. We extend the coverage, and for the race discrimination ordinance, I have to mention that we have extended the coverage into making it an offense to discriminate the associate of ethnic minority. So, for example, if I am friendly, say, with Brigitte, someone discriminate Brigitte because of the racial consideration. And if that someone not only discriminate her, but also discriminate me because of my association with Brigitte, then he would also commit an offense. So that we think would provide a better protection to the ethnic minorities as well. And one further amendment that is worthy to mention in the race context is that it is also unlawful to discriminate a person who is wrongly perceived to be of a particular race. For example, if I were a person of a dark complexion, I went into a restaurant and the operator or the waiter refused to serve me, saying that, go away, Filipino. Then, although I am actually a Chinese, originally, he was safe. He didn't commit any offense because I'm actually not a Filipino. But now, it doesn't matter. Once he said that, even though he mistaken me as some other race, he will have committed offense. So these are the amendments. So I'm not going, for the time being, I'm not going through the other amendments. We have 8 pieces of amendment, but 2 relating to race. So breastfeeding, I'm not going to open. For the other discrimination, we mainly extend it to cover different relationships in the common workplace. Because about 80% of our complaints are employment related. That's why we focus on the workplace discrimination issues. So I'm not going to go through all this. Yeah, and what do we do after the legislative amendment was gazetted? We have to do the following follow-up actions. We put up the Chinese and English guidance booklets on our website so that people can easily access to the latest amendment to know what the situation of the law is now. And we also compile information leaflets summarizing the legislative amendment in a user-friendly language and put them up on the website. And these leaflets are not confined to Chinese and English. We have, through the assistance of stakeholders, we have compiled leaflets in, I think, 8 or 9 ethnic minority languages. And you can find all this on our website. So nobody is left behind. And then, well, just a conclusion that, in fact, when we talk about racial equality, by now everybody realized that we really need collaborative method from efforts from all different sectors. No one can tackle the issue successfully single-handed. So probably I can, yeah. Some more. Yeah, so I think I can sum up my presentation now. Again, relating the racial discrimination to the pandemic, since early last year, Hong Kong has been deeply affected by the pandemic, during which we have also experienced some very undesirable phenomena, such as the resurgence of xenophobia, the prejudice and hate speech against the ethnic minorities, which exacerbate long-standing inequalities of racial minorities. But no matter what, we should always remember that pandemic does not discriminate. It affects us all. And we really have no choice, but must fight this pandemic together so that no one is unfairly treated or left behind. And to conclude, allow me to quote the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres' word. All of us face a common threat to COVID-19. And since this is a crisis that affects everyone, we must all play our part. Let's move forward with resolve and without stigma. So I think it summarized what we need to do in the future. So I hope that, ladies and gentlemen, you continue to enjoy this afternoon. And my conclusion, my presentation ends here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chu, for your presentation. We've definitely learned a lot more about the functions of the EOC, loopholes in legislation, and some of the underlying issues that have become much more apparent in the COVID-19 era. So now we will have a really short Q&A session. So if Mr. Chu could just stay with us for a while, and we will see if there are any questions from the audience. So audience online and offline, if you have any questions, do let me know. One question. It's good to know that there's some update, there's an
the ordinance, and then we've got to see the movement. All that kind of movement help the society move forward. And then this actually is not a question, but I'm going to ask, okay, if chairman can have some enlightening, like association like the CNHK, the China Hong Kong Culture Exchange, we do a lot on connect people with different culture and do co-creation. And then we suggest us to do something more, okay, to help the society move forward. That's the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. Of course, legislative amendment is. Sorry. Yeah, thanks, Nelson, for the question. Legislative amendment, of course, we can say it is an ultimate weapon to tackle the problem of discrimination. But before we can actually use that kind of weapon, a lot of groundwork needs to be done. And you have rightly pointed out that collaboration with stakeholders is very important. EOC welcomes every opportunity to have connect with various stakeholders. So if the association or any other NGOs or even government departments, when they have an issue, we welcome that they always contact us or we can reach out to them. And we always hold very friendly and frank discussions on various issues. Just this morning, I was talking to some interest groups on problems of their own. And we think the reactions are always positive. The EOC may not be able to always fulfill their expectations, so to say. But at least I think as the EOC, we are diligent listeners. We listen to problems. After listening, we try to find a solution. We will also be ready to behave like an agent between government and the NGOs. And we have a lot of successful and happy experience doing that. Back to the question of legislative amendment. In fact, we have a very valuable document that if ladies and gentlemen, you're curious to see it, just look up our website. Back in 2016, we produced a very comprehensive proposal of legislative amendments. The booklet contained a total of 65 recommendations. The government gazetted 8 of them last year, promising that they are now looking into another something like 9 or 10 of it. So we think this document has a historical value. If you want to look up probably in the next 10 years, legislative amendment concerning anti-discrimination issues can be found in this document. And we will continue to work on the same document, pick out those issues that are of priority now. It may not be of priority 3 years ago. So because the society has changed, but we are always an evolving organization, and we welcome opinions, comments from outsiders to make us better.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. There is a question from an online audience. So how often does the EOC directly engage with members of the ethnic minority communities? And are EM members also actively engaging in changing anti-discriminatory policies, including directly being on the EOC committee itself?
Oh, very frequently. I still remember when I assumed the chairperson's office for 20 months now. I think I have met directly, personally, with EM minorities members, representative organizations more than 20 times. So in average, I met them at least once a month. Even though during the pandemic time, physical meetings are not feasible, we always liaise with each other through Zoom or written correspondence. We closely exchange our views, and they always share their difficulties with us. That's why we met domestic helpers associations. We met the Pakistani community, we met the Islamic Society members, and not only we deal with their welfare issues, we dealt with some serious issues as well. I remember I'm still dealing with some land issues relating to some Islamic society interests. So we are inclined to make direct contact with all stakeholders. And for the EOC membership, at the moment, we have 3 ethnic minority representatives as EOC members. Apart from the main board, the main membership board, EOC has an ethnic minority unit. And this unit is supervised by the work group on ethnic minority issues. So we also have ethnic minority members on that. And speaking of the staffing of the ethnic minority unit, it's a small unit. We have 6 members now in the unit. 4 of them are ethnic minorities. So I think we are pretty comprehensive in drawing talents from the ethnic minorities, insofar as our present capacity is concerned.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, for your answer. So because of time constraints, I'm afraid that we cannot cover all of the other questions that we have online. So once again, let us give a big round of applause to Mr. Chu. Thank you. Moving on, it is now my pleasure to introduce our second keynote speaker, Mr. Jonathan Ho Kai-Ming, JP, Undersecretary for Labor and Welfare at the Labor and Welfare Bureau. Before joining the Labor and Welfare Bureau, Mr. Ho was a legislative council member in the labor sector and a district council member in Kuntong. Let us now welcome Mr. Jonathan Ho again.
Thank you. Ricky, Nelson, and Principal Lai and Principal Leung, and other honorable guests and our guests on the internet. Good afternoon. Because my English level is the worst in the principal offices. If you feel lag on the internet, not because of the bandwidth, because I'm thinking how to speak. I just want to echo Ricky's point about Deliverable. I'm a big fan of Deliverable. Is there any fans of Deliverable or other delivery platform in Hong Kong? Nelson's supposed to be, is it? Yeah, because I live in Yau Ma Tei, you know that there are a lot of ethnic minorities live in Yau Ma Tei, and therefore when I order some food on the Deliverable, because a Deliverable can pay more tips on this app. Therefore, I do not like the other platform. Therefore, sometimes I will miss some EM delivery man, and sometimes I miss some Chinese delivery man. By my actual feeling, I actually like the EM delivery man more. Do you know why? Have you ordered on the Deliverable or other platform?
Yes, I have.
What can you share? How do you feel about the delivery man?
I think some of them are pretty like warming. When they come in with food, then you can actually kind of interact with them, and they're generally really nice with like giving you.
Yes, but
food.
I feel this such kind of manner only on the ethnic minority delivery man. When I meet some Chinese delivery men, actually they put the food down just out of my door and then they go away. I cannot catch them and say thank you. Therefore, it is very disappointed by me, and therefore, this is an actual feeling when I live in Yau Ma Tei, which is a very a lot of neighborhood is ethnic minorities. Therefore, when I think what can I inspire from this actual living story and occurs on me, I think that use of the IT platforms can help the ethnic minorities to break through the language limitation, because the app usually is has an English version and English translation, and usually, you know, Chinese is the hardest language to learn on the earth. It is not. It is because the Chinese is graphic, and the others are by the phonic. Is it? Maybe principal like is the professional. I cannot I cannot present so much. And the other reason I can inspire, the other thing I can inspire is that the ethnic minorities are willing to catch every opportunity to improve their living standard. But because the unemployment rate in Hong Kong is a little bit high, therefore some Chinese, mainly because Hong Kong people are mainly Chinese, they are forced to join the delivery platform. Therefore, maybe they are not very happy to have such situation. Therefore, they are not very happy to deliver. Yeah, this what I can inspire from this little story. And because I'm from the Labor and Welfare Bureau, therefore I will make some focus on the employment situation in Hong Kong, especially of the EM friends. Do you know what is the unemployment rate right now?
I'm thinking about like 5-6%.
Yeah, but a little bit more. The current unemployment rate in Hong Kong is 6.6%. It's about 250,000, about something more in Hong Kong right now. But it is the number which is 3 months ago, which is from October to December. As CE yesterday in the Legislature said, the peak is not yet arrived, because the ESS scheme, the employment supporting scheme, ends at November, and therefore, if the company do not have enough cash, recurrent cash and on their hands, they may close at December, and also usually around about the time or after the Chinese Lunar New Year, some shop will close after they have earns the money on the Chinese New Year. Therefore, the peak may arrive, or we can see the figure may after just maybe on March, because when we have the number of, we can have the unemployment rate on March, that it is represent the number from December to February. Therefore, as a whole, the unemployment rate in Hong Kong is a thing to need to be solved in Hong Kong. But I think that there are two factors to affect the employment market in Hong Kong. There is some short-term factor and there is some long-term factor. First of all, the short-term factor of increasing the tension of the labor market, it is the pandemic. The COVID-19 is a very very chronic. Oh, yeah, thank you. It's a chronic virus we have seen because it will I will slow down. Yeah, we will not have any. We will not discover we are affected when we have the virus. Therefore, it suppressed the market transaction in Hong Kong, especially in the service industry. And also, it is because there are lack of mainland travelers to Hong Kong, also reduce the size of the service industry in Hong Kong a lot, especially in at the airport related industries, including the airport catering industries and also the tourism related industries, they are mostly affected because the tourists in Hong Kong, it is, do you know how many tourists in Hong Kong 3 years up, maybe 2018?
Much more than we have right now.
Yeah. Of course. So, before the social unrest, we can have the data, we have the numbers. There are 65 million in 2018, and in 2020 there is 3.1 million, and most of them are comes in January. That is before the pandemic. Do you know how many tourists at US at 2018?
Also much more than they have right now.
No, but I want to say that in US, there are only 79 million. Hong Kong is 65 million, and all the whole US has 79 million. Therefore, what do you know? Can you imagine what is the size? How many people go to US? The tourists go to US is how many people come to Hong Kong. Therefore, if the customer in Hong Kong is much more less than the years previously, it is really a big reconstruction of Hong Kong's every industry, because there are no more customers to Hong Kong now, and there is the short-term factor. Of course, the government as a whole, we are trying to clear the virus in Hong Kong. When we can clear the virus in Hong Kong, then we can have the communication with mainland China. But maybe it takes a number of months. You can solve it. But there is another long-term factor. There is to reconstruct the industry in Hong Kong. Because for example, there are no more business travel, no very much business travel in the future. We can have Zoom. We can have internet meetings, and even we can have the subtitle on the internet in the internet meetings. Although we do not open the the real-time translation right now. Therefore, it is a reconstruction of the economy, and there will have a less face-to-face communication in the future. It will heavily affect the tourism, because from the aircraft association, international aircraft association, the normal aircraft travel will be resumed at 2024. 2024. It is right now 2021. Now, it needs 3 more years to recover to the normal situation of the aircraft. Therefore, the tourism will be heavily affected after the pandemic, and therefore, the reconstruction of the economy will resume. Therefore, it is one of the reasons why we do not encourage to have the employment supporting scheme one more time, because the reconstruction need to be happen. To even though in China, in mainland China, there's a reconstruction. Therefore, for those, it is the economy development as a whole. But what I want to give some tips for the ethnic minorities. I think that there is opportunity and crisis. In Chinese, 危機 is consists of crisis and opportunity. The opportunity is where the opportunities come from. It is come from the internet, the use of internet. Do you know you know the unemployment rate is high in Hong Kong right now, but there are still some industry is having increasing their job. There are job creation in some industries. Do you know? Can you guess which industry has job creation? Or other guesses? Do you know what industry have job creation right now in 2020? Increasing.
Well, teachers as well, right?
IT, not directly IT, not directly IT. We cannot see these figures.
E-commerce.
E-commerce somehow, yes. We can see a big increase in the deliver and the postage sector. It have 18% the job creation. Yeah. And any more? Yeah, mask. Yeah, we can see there is an increase in the manufacturing industry, especially in the autumn of the 2020. We can see there is an 8% of increasing manufacturing, increasing of job creation in 2020, but the increase disappeared at the winter of the 2020 because maybe the automation and or they do not need many people to pack the mask. Therefore, the number of the job creation decrease. Do you know any others? If maybe I tell you the answer. The other are the financial sectors. It is still increasing in the jobs, number of jobs, and also the related professional service sector. It is these two sectors have a quite number of job creation last year, and the last one is the LD services. Yeah, LD services. You can see that on the figures because maybe they need more people to work in the Yuen or in other place to take care of the elders. Therefore, what I want to say is that after the pandemic, the economy will recover to the normal level, but some reconstruction will occur in Hong Kong also. And when we can see the trend of the job creation in Hong Kong and under the pandemic, they are really the hardcore of the job creation in the future. I expect, and also I want to say two theories what can help us to predict the future economy development in the Hong Kong in the future. Maybe you can know that one of them is the M-shaped society. Yeah, because the gap of the rich and poor is increasing in Hong Kong. Also, but you know, it is always a very high number in the M-shaped society. But the trend, I suppose, it will be even more. The gap will be bigger. But the other trend, other theory, I want you all you know that there's another theory happens in the internet economy. It is long tail theory. Do you know what is long tail theory? Yeah, Nelson. You know it? Do you know the long tail theory about the internet economy?
Yes, a little bit. It's about extreme minority and also some very unique, demanding.
Yeah, very close. I want to point out is that under the internet economy, the long tail theory tell us the few big internet companies will earn the most profit of the market. Maybe in the retail section, the Taobao and also Kingdong, and also in Hong Kong maybe HKTV Mall will earn the most profit of the sector. Therefore, the market will be more. The profit of the market will be more focused on some big
some very big companies. And then what is the result of after the M-shaped society and long tail theory happen when they combine together? I'm still very curious of what is the combination of these two theories in Hong Kong happen together. I did not have a real, a very clear answer, but I think all my guesses may have their own answer. But what I guess is there are more. There will have a very big group of people which is between the middle class and the grassroots. They may happen in the future in Hong Kong. Because in Hong Kong there are the minimal wage in Hong Kong. At the protest, there are no absolute poor in Hong Kong. But of course, there's a relative poor in Hong Kong, relative poverty in Hong Kong. They do not have absolute poverty because not only the minimum wage, but also the Zhongwen helps to reduce the happens of the helps to reduce the the absolute poverty. Yeah, they will not happen in Hong Kong. But when the internet economy comes, with the M-shaped economy, M-shaped society, they are combined together. A very big group of people will happen all together, which is are people living in the EM community. They are using their mobile phone. Their life may be very similar to those who have using a mobile phone in the public housing and also in the private sector, private housing. Although, of course, the rich people will still very rich in Hong Kong, but I think it may be a future development of the economy. And of course, everything, if we want to eliminate the tension of the labor market, the economy need to be recovered. Need to be recovered after the pandemic, and that's what we need to do, because we can see the data of the job or the unemployment rate, and at the September of the 2020, we can see that it can recover very soon after if the pandemic is if the pandemic is much better in Hong Kong. Therefore, that's what I is too short. Is the
it's actually okay. Yeah.
and that's what I want to share today. And I think there's still a lot to learn from other guests. Yeah. Maybe I need to English. I need to have an English tutorial from Principal Lai.
Thank you, Mr. Ho. So now we will have a short Q&A session again, and we actually already have one question from an online audience. So they're saying, one of the main barriers to employment opportunities for members of ethnic minorities is the lack of Chinese language skills, which Mr. Chu has mentioned just now as well. So there are centers for learning Chinese, but they are not developed enough to teach the language in a dedicated manner. Are there any plans for establishing centers that are solely focused on equipping the members of the community with Chinese language skills? So they're suggesting maybe like an intensive program that takes 1 or 2 years.
Of course, education is a way to solve the problem. But what I want to mention is that the IT or the AI helps to solve the language gap between the Chinese and other EM languages. I do not know, have you Taobao? Do you buy any translator, the translate machine on the internet? If you can, usually Hong Kong people buy this kind of machine when we go to travel. But for EM people in Hong Kong, they can use it to translate real time to solve the gap. Although what I can search just a minute ago that do not support the Pakistan language, the Wudo Yu, not yet support. But we can see that it support Russian or French or other kinds of European languages. I believe that when the Belt and Road is more popular in Hong Kong, such kind of machine maybe can develop in China and also in Hong Kong. Therefore, I'm optimistic to solve the problem. The other way to solve the problem is the internet apps, the use of internet apps, because it helps to solve maybe to reduce the face-to-face opportunity. Therefore, if we do not have much more face-to-face opportunity, then therefore the language we need is less, especially for those in the need to learn the Chinese language.
Thank you, Mr. Ho, for your answer. So someone is actually just asking a follow-up if they can know where they can access this information. Would it be like perhaps on a web page or something like that?
Web page of
like maybe the Labor and Welfare Bureau. They just want to know how they could access that information.
If you want to have to know the employment support from the government, there is a web page in the Labor's department. We have some scheme to support the employment of the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong. And also we have a few centers which is under the Home Affairs Bureau to support the to help the employment of the ethnic minorities. Therefore, I think that we both of the two bureaus are cooperate a lot, and also we want more cooperate with Ricky more and more. And it is a kind of cross bureau and cross departments we need this kind of action to help the ethnic minorities.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ho. Because of time constraint. Yeah, sure. I'll pass you the microphone maybe.
I think thank you so much, Jonathan. You've made a very good speech, letting us know something about what's on the mind of the officers. Well, it seems to me that both speakers have mentioned the issue about the barrier of language, right? To me, as a language worker, actually, language is something deeply embedded in a culture. Well, we cannot just learn a language without touching the culture. So from understanding, well, if anyone you got a chance to get migrated to Australia or the UK, I understand that they have particular department, looking after those new immigrants, fostering the acquisition of the language. Well, of course, they're not talking again, pushing up to whatever level they're talking about, which is what they want to make sure is that these EM people in that community are able to do shopping in the language they use in the community and do some basic work with the language. Well, as you just mentioned very clearly, Mr. Ho, suppose we have an EM engineer. Well, he or she may not be able to speak very, very good and fluent in Cantonese, to say nothing in Putonghua, but still, as long as he's able to get along with the colleagues, able to take instructions and get a job done properly, well, he's making very good contributions to the community, and which we should treasure very much. So this is my humble suggestion to you, say, Mr. Ricky G. So as you can see this afternoon, Mr. G is very passionate chairperson, and we all agree that, well, we're not going to bring everyone to the court to get things settled. We're going to encourage everyone in the community to appreciate the diversity of all ethnic groups living together under the same roof, the same roof, the sky.
Yeah.
All right. So I would suggest maybe your bureau would, as you just mentioned, consider establish kind of institutions or some kind of projects, bringing some people in the community. I'm pretty sure that quite a number of volunteers available in the community because, well, Hong Kong people, loving people. This is my my belief. Well, this is my suggestion for you two gentlemen to consider. Thank you so much.
And Nelson want to.
Actually, it's not a question. It's I get a lot of enlightening, from Jonathan.
Thank you.
For three reasons. Actually, this is actually I get a lot of enlightening, arriving from the question from the internet. And actually, we have a sister company. Actually, it's an NGO, Unleash Foundation. We do a lot of human development program with EM, African minority included. And we do a lot of that kind of internet training to help people to migrate into a digital era. That's just what we have been doing in the past 10 years. And we are doing good, and we work well with Alibaba and Taobao. And then I think that's the way to create job opportunity, given proper training, proper guidance, the career guidance, and also the opportunity ahead to tell them, okay, how to navigate, solve the problem on hand. And then we have a lot of challenge here and now, and then particular because of COVID-19, but because of that innovative technology, and we can manage to create more opportunity. That's what we have been doing. And then we have some cases in the coming sharing section by Tiffany. Okay, we're going to have that. So we're going to looking forward to work with Bureau, and then I think the community at large to solve the employment problem. And once again, thanks so much for the sharing from Jonathan Ho. We have a lot of enlightening from that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for, because my presentation is very bad. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ho, for your overview about employment and the current economic situation. And now, please give a big round of applause to Mr. Ho again. Yeah. Hello. Now, I would like to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mr. Leung Kwok-Ho, principal at CUHK FAA Thomas Cheung Secondary School. With a Bachelor of Science from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, a Master of Science in Applied Mathematics from the City University of Hong Kong, and a Master of Education in School Leadership and Management from Hong Kong Baptist University. Mr. Leung is an advocate of lifelong learning. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Leung Kwok-Ho.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start my presentation, I would like to seek for your approval that I will hold an iPad to give my presentation, because I guess my English is not fluent enough without looking at it. Sorry about that. My presentation. And also, can you help me to press this button, because I don't have three hands. Thank you. Before I start, I would like to take the opportunity to express my gratitude to Mr. Ryan Wong, my school supervisor, Mr. Nelson Yip, the CEO of China Hong Kong Cultural Exchange Association, and Mr. Lai, the principal of Lee Koyan Second Memorial School, for inviting me to speak at today's forum. Thank you. It's okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm an advocate of lifelong learning because not only is it a way to find innovative solutions to educational problems, it is also a way to equip oneself for shouldering more responsibilities. I'm especially interested in STEM education and the application of technology in education. As you can see from my profile, I have only been a principal for 4 months, so I really new, right? I'm sure that I have a lot to learn from you here today at this forum. Yeah, this one. Yeah, thank you. As you all know, due to the integration of Hong Kong and the mainland China, there is a steady increase in the number of cross-border students in Hong Kong. To take my school as an example, there are around 100 cross-border students representing 16% of the student population. Therefore, it is important that we prepare ourselves well and have appropriate measures in place to cater for the needs of these students. Today, I would like to share some experiences of our school in enhancing the learning effectiveness of cross-border students. Thank you. I believe that our responsibility to all students are the same regardless of their origins or backgrounds. I think that the lyrics of a very famous old song, "The greatest love of all," echo with the teaching philosophy of my school. Please don't expect I will sing it here. Although this is just a pop song, the lyrics are words of wisdoms. Next, please. Thank you. First, the lyrics says we should teach them well. I think no one will disagree with this. Of course, it is the duty of educators to teach their students well. Our school also strives to provide education for all without discrimination. But how? Thank you. Tip number 1 is to make good use of technology to break geographical boundaries. Next one. It is when let me see where is it? Let me see. A bit nervous actually. Please wait. Okay, I can see that. It is when we can provide an equal learning platform that we can provide equal opportunities to our students. I attend one of the meetings of the English panel recently. In the meeting, the teachers were evaluating the students' performance in the Hong Kong Schools Speech Festival, which is usually held in the first term of a year. I was quite impressed by how the teachers nominate students to take part in the competition. Annette reported that she chose her student simply because he had shown interest in learning English, especially in improving his speaking, not because he had really remarkable talents in English speaking. I was even impressed that when the next told me that the student was a cross-border student. What does it mean? Being a cross-border student means that the student didn't come back to the school since September of last year. So you may ask, how could the net train the student? Thanks to technology, the net and the student met regularly on Zoom for their training sessions. With Zoom, the net can train the cross-border students as they meet regularly for training on pronunciation, intonation, pace, and the facial expressions. Due to the COVID-19 epidemic, only half-day face-to-face classes were allowed until recently. To help students make full use of their time and take advantage of students' interest in things related to technology, our school organized some STEM-related courses in the afternoon for junior students. How about the materials required for the courses? We ordered all the courses materials from Taobao, just mentioned from Mr. Ho, and asked the online shop to deliver the materials to the students directly in the mainland China. So the students did not even have to leave their homes and to be able to enjoy the learning experience wherever they were, in Hong Kong or in the mainland. Next one. Thank you. Not only the students learning new technology, our teachers are catching up as well. To increase the efficiency of teaching and learning, we have offered several workshops for teachers on e-tools for teaching. For example, Note. Why promote e-tools for teaching? Because the bring your own BYOD policy, that means the bring your own device policies. And these e-tools are essential tools that can, okay, thank you, that can facilitate effective pedagogy for online lessons. Most lessons involve over 20 or 30 students in each class to cater the learners' diversities in the classroom, not to mention in a Zoom classroom, where we can see each other through the screen. Next one. That's why we emphasize enhancing teachers' proficiency in IT for education, so they can engage students effectively in their lessons using interactive e-tools. It is the experience of our teachers and myself that high frequency interactions, for example, questioning and answering between teachers and students, is the best way to keep the students' concentration. Okay. Thank you. Besides the geographical boundaries, it is also challenging to get through the psychological boundaries. Hence, our school has implemented measures to connect students with their peers, teachers, and the schools. Next one. There have been reports showing that the stress level and the depression symptoms have increased significantly during the COVID-19 outbreak in Hong Kong over the past year. As such, our school is very concerned about the mental health of our students, especially that of cross-border students who are completely isolated from their peers in Hong Kong. It is true that they can join the lessons and activities as their local students on Zoom, but other than this, it might be very difficult for them to engage in social interaction and develop friendships with their peers in Hong Kong like before the epidemic. Being aware of the problems, our counseling team has set up several online groups for cross-border students so that they can have proper channels to express their feelings and difficulties, and teachers can offer counseling or modifying lesson plans as appropriate. We have also included online class teacher period for cross-border students, because we want to let the students understand that although we are not in the same place, we are still connected as the members of the same school. Hold on. Sorry. Never mind. We have also arranged to set up an ad hoc examination center in mainland China, so the cross-border students can take the same examination and have their efforts and abilities assessed in the same way. Okay, we have almost 700 students, so it is, I think it is the last one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We have almost 700 students, so it is impractical for us to solely rely on 2 school social workers, class teachers, and the vice principal have set up a WeChat group for all cross-border students so that the school can maintain direct contact with the students and their parents, making it easier to build trust between different parties, more efficient in problem solving. For instance, we have set up an examination center in Shenzhen during the first term examination. When the academic master found out that a student was an hour late for the examination, he could immediately get in touch with the student's parent, find out his whereabouts and the reasons behind, knowing that knowing that the student living in Shanwei, Sanmei, had to take 2 hours to go to the exam center. But please pay attention that our exam start at 8:15 in the morning. That means the student have to leave his home at 6:15. Yeah. The student was late due to the heavy traffic jam. We could quickly decide to allow him to take the exam and give him the original allowed time. Okay, next. Thank you. Our school puts great emphasis on enhancing language learning environment for both local and cross-border students. Okay. All English teachers, together with our 3 nets, are working hand in hand to create language-rich environment for our students. Besides regular lessons, we have also the English speaking week, English carnival, and we are trying to adopt a whole school approach to arouse students' interest in English learning by designing cross-curricular activities. Thank you. Next one. Supplementary tutorial classes are also on the way too. Let them lead the way. If we can teach our students well, then we can rely on them to lead the way. Not only can they contribute to our school, but also the community. Thank you. The alumni of our school are one of the very important resources we have, and we are always trying to stay connected with them for mutual support. Next one. For instance, we have invited some alumni who are studying in the university to be instructors of STEM activities in our school. Okay. One of the initiatives of our school is to work with local community centers so that our students can serve them as student helper, and the more able one as the instructors for some activities organized by them. We encourage cross-border students to take part because it is a way to help them understand the community they had, to understand the community they are studying in. As I mentioned before, they didn't go to the school since September last year, right? In fact, online class for which our students will act as a tutor is underway, but has been postponed due to the epidemic. Language education is always one of our major concerns to cater for learners' diversity. We are also planning to work with the local youth center for more learning opportunities for more able students. For example, to be teaching assistant or student tutor of the English tutorial classes. Next one. Okay, you can continue to press. Then I never mind. The next slide is another lyrics. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. To nurture the leaders in our students, it is very important to make them realize the potential and the talents they possess. And as the lyrics says, once they have gained enough confidence in themselves, things will be a lot easier. To let our students understand themselves more, we provide a lot of opportunities for them to explore, to learn, to serve, to practice. For example, as student reporters for the school magazine, and the next one, volunteers to serve the others, MCs of the different events, all are held by students. Thank you. Next one. We also try to create and seek more chances and platforms for them to show off their talents. Yeah, our students have participated in, for example, singing performance in concerts, marching band performance in Shanghai. Some of them will be presenters in the Learning and Teaching Expo last year, but unfortunately, the event has been cancelled due to the epidemic. The next one. Thank you. Although a lot of schools activities has been put on hold due to the epidemic, it has been a valuable lesson and probably a blessing to educators in Hong Kong and worldwide, because it is said that every act of creation begins with an act of destruction. As our daily routine was disrupted by the epidemic, we are forced to leave our comfort zone, jump out of the box to rethink our usual ways of teaching, and to think of creative ways to solve the problems we encountered, so that we can still keep our students together while we have to maintain social distancing to keep ourselves safe and healthy. It is the worst of the time, but it is also the best of the times for schools and educators to reinvent ways to provide quality and equal education opportunities to both local and the cross-border students. Next one. The last one. As the Chinese New Year is around the corner, so I wish all of you a happy New Year of the Ox. Thank you for your help, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Leung, for your presentation. It was great learning about how your school has been implementing these policies to make cross-border students feel more welcome, especially during COVID times. So now we can accept a couple of questions from online and offline audiences. If anyone has any questions.
Nope.
So we have a really quick question, so maybe we can get one question here. So you've mentioned many ways that teachers are trying to make learning more accessible and inclusive for cross-border students. But apart from the learning aspect, how do you think schools can enhance the social interactions of students from different backgrounds and cultural identities, especially during an era of online learning?
Actually, because they can have a physical contact or not physical contact, interaction with our local students. So we can only organize some online platform for the interaction between the students, just for discussion or to let the students to let the cross-border students to express their feelings or any other ideas towards to the teachers and to school. So we have to based on these ideas and then have a kind of review to rebuild or reinvent the school policies to help the cross-border students to adapt this new education environment. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Leung.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience, or I'll just do a quick check?
I have one question. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Leung, are you facing any challenge? I know you're one of the experts by using technology. You solve a cross-border education. This is not an easy job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you encountered any challenge? So you can share with because we are all embrace education for all. And we believe technology, which can change the world in the future. So can you share a little bit challenge so we can move forward and then try to overcome the challenge? So they have so many youngsters there here, and they have technology mind. Even though we cannot solve it, but we can path the way in the future.
Thank you.
So maybe I'll just quickly recap the question because
it's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. Fine.
Unfortunately, like the online audience can't hear
Sorry,
without
sorry.
the microphone.
So
Yeah.
you can recap it.
Yeah, just really quickly. So just now, Mr. Nelson Yip has kindly proposed a question about asking Mr. Leung about the challenges in terms of like technological development, especially now that everything is going online. So how will that impact our future? Or just asking Mr. Leung for his insights in that issue.
Thank you. I remember that I entered this school and promote the e-learning through the online platform. One of the most difficult problem that I have to encounter is the platform. We are using Google Classroom in Hong Kong. Yeah. But unfortunately, it can't be accessed in the mainland China. So we have to change the platform immediately. not only to the students, but also I have to train the usage of another platform to our teachers. So it is quite urgent at that time, and I mean as September. Yeah, it is a major, a big challenge for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leung. Let us give him a big round of applause again. So we will now have a quick 1-minute break before the final panel discussion.
Excuse me. Okay.
Oh, wait,
Thank you so much.
I'm going to do a quick introductions. Yeah, so I will do a quick introduction, and afterwards, I'll say, let us now welcome our panelists. Whichever order you want, not really. Because then you're just like, it's like a whole discussion. Yeah. So yes, you have to do a presentation.
That was before.
Oh, the order would be before. Oh, really?
Before or after the
Before.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know we are running way beyond.
Yeah, we are running away. Or maybe try to make it like a little bit less than 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, just like, because
Okay. Now, I need to work it out.
而家 Nelson 會用一個咪，跟住另外一個就第三個 share，即係輪流 present。
除咗變啦，我哋三個仲玩。
係
就後來啊，呢件 Nelson 想跟台下 Nelson 揀邊個位啦？根據你哋唔喺度嘅彩排嘅時候咧，一齊係呢個嘅。Yes，
Nelson 會唔會想做埋個 introduction 啊？我做。
你嚟啊！你嚟啊！
我做完，咁我就係啦。
你嚟啊！
咁我做完，你哋先。
你想領先？
我上映先啦，我搞好耐㗎
哦，
我。
好，咁我坐。
你睇我表演嚟咯。啊，呢邊都係啊。
可以坐喺隔離我先。
啊。
跟住然後我介紹。但係呢個咧，因為 Lianna 喺度咧，佢呢個係佢。
佢會見到啲乜嘢？即係我呢個 screen 會見到佢。
呢個 screen 會見到 Lianna。
我因為而家仲未將佢，而家仲未將佢編咗出嚟。
係應該編咗出嚟就會見到。係。咁我陣間快咗。係。咁我而家撳。我要 social 得。
我見你聽，我都係見到。
佢編咗就見到啦。
睇呢個見到咩？
我同 Emily 而家 figure out 我落咗課之後，
係啦，你見到
而家放咗啲燈開翻個
呢段啊嘛。
係啦，我講埋呢段，
你講埋呢段，跟住咧，最後尾咪話高盛嗰度咧，高
係
盛嗰度咧，即係who's all the fellows 跟住我哋咁落去。
咁你係咪請佢哋帶應該？
我哋做咗高盛。
係啊係啊。
高盛嗰陣時係咪喺呢個做高盛地方？
我本來諗住係。
我
係啊係。
我落手先，即係我哋幾個。
哦，你唔做 closing，我記得你頭先話你會做 closing。 我做都 OK。
咁你做啦。
好啊好啊。咦，佢時間，我可以㗎啦，做咩啊？係啊，佢可能有少少遠。個掣有少少唔係好。可能因為有少少遠。好啦，咁等一陣。OK 啦，可以轉翻。會唔會請嘉賓走？哦，OK。
係嘢等你知道先。
我仲要去上網有個第三個 function， 就中大嗰個心理健康研究。
我再揾日去探主席。
好，一定要嚟探我哋啊！你新 office 我哋嗰度你嚟過未？
我嚟過啦，
我都嚟過啦。
我最尾嗰年咧就係仲係去已經係啦 move 咗去，
已經 move 咗去。
係啦。
Sorry Janice，我諗你應該 mute 咗，聽唔到你講嘢，sorry。
我再講啦。
No problem。
重新嚟過。
Okay.
All right, so we're back from our 1-minute break just now. There was a little bit of a technical difficulty, but right here with me we have Mr. Nelson Yip Siu Hong, MH, who is the founder and chief executive officer at China Hong Kong Culture Exchange Association. So he will be the moderator of our final panel discussion today. And our final session is a showcase and panel discussion featuring 3 projects based on social empowerment. We have Ms. Alexandra Lo representing Above Challenge, a series of activities that promote social inclusion and self-development. We have Ms. Tiffany Qiao representing Upower Company Limited, a social enterprise that advocates for the rights of the disabled. And Ms. Brigitte Menye-Eto and Ms. Lianna Yuen, who is online today, representing Hard to Hear, a recently founded youth-led project that aims to empower those with hearing difficulties. So let us now welcome our panelists.
we are privileged to have three very young social entrepreneur here. We have Brigitte next to me, and then she's so young. She's just in high school, and then what next is Tiffany. Tiffany is a university student, second year, and Alex is a very young entrepreneur, a young mother with 3 kids. So we are glad to have chance to have a little bit sharing here. Today we talk about the community shaper. We believe in young power. Youth is a power, and then we believe that with the concrete effort and work together, we can build a better world. I wanted to let our youngster to have a little bit sharing about your project. So who is going to be the first one to share? Okay, Alex.
Yes, as my name starts with A, so I will go ahead first. Thank you, Mr. Zhu, Mr. Lai, Mr. Ho, and Mr. Ho, and Mr. Leung, and Mr. Yip for inviting me here today to share with you about my project, about challenge. As a mother of 3, I would do a little bit sharing about my shameless self-introduction first. I came to Hong Kong at 2000 at age very young age. But the time when I came to Hong Kong, I couldn't really speak Cantonese, not English. So I was isolated. I was looked down by my classmate. I have a nickname, and that's given by one of my classmates. And later on, I found first time when I reached out to sports, running, I joined a summer training program, which is hosted by South China Athletic Club, Hui. And I was not one of the fastest runner in the team. But at that time, the coach, we call him Uncle Man. He gave me an opportunity to join the team and later on become part of the team to represent the club among some of the elite runners in Hong Kong here. I was lifted by him. And when I reached a college application, like Brigitte is going to apply for college later on, and I was able to have one mentor called Bill to lift me up about how I'm going to, because my time in race walking is good enough. So he encouraged me to apply US college. And lucky enough, I was successfully applied to go to college for 4 years and run for the school and got some great awards as achievement as well. And in 2008, I was representing Hong Kong team to overseas for sports. And all this one give me a lot of confidence. Like Mr. Leung, Principal Leung, we mentioned about the student need to feel confident inside. And that's what I feel the sport gives to me. And after I have babies, like 3 kids, as a mother of 3, I totally lost myself in the middle of middle age. I found my life, it is nothing. It's all around kids. But I tell myself, no, women had to stand up for ourselves. So I got back to sports. And in this PowerPoint slide, you can see last year, I got back to the master game. I went for compete. I got number 1. And in Hong Kong here, I got back to my sport. I got the fastest number 2. So once again, I got the confidence again inside me. And throughout all this years, there's so many people lift me up, including in this photo here, like I mentioned about Coach Uncle Man is the one in the middle with another Coach Shen over there. And the one on the right-hand side, all this picture here are the coaches have impact me, that tell me you have talent in you, you can do more. And this is how I try step by step, and then I become who I am today. And who I am today, it is not because I am who I am, but because how other people lift me up. When I need to train, I call my friends here. And when I go to race, I go different places to race with them. They all lift me up in your life, I believe we come alone, but we have so many friends who lift us up at the time that we see challenges in life. Particularly when we see challenge, we need help a lot. And what I will go through is who I am now. I got a lot of help because of this, and because of what I see in the last 2 years. Everyone here can see what you have been going through last 2 years. The unrest, the COVID-19, everyone's life has changed dramatically. And because of that, I think even I myself is a small person. No one really know about me at this moment. But with all the help I got from other people, I want to give my hand, to reach out to other people, to show them it's time for me to help you and to gather more people in the community to help each other. And because of that, this project about challenge is inside there, is the idea to be wise by lifting others. We rise by lifting others around us when they need the help, the support the most. And in this About Challenge project, actually, I already running some of the ideas, some of the in my group or in my life around my group. Like this morning, I ran out to walk with a friend at 8 a.m. in Causeway Bay before I came here. And due to this project have some of the elements I want to share with you how this is going to work. And the vision of this project, it is to, wellness is for sure. Everyone here for the past year didn't do enough sport, right? So for About Challenge is about sport to do the healthy body, healthy mind. And also empowerment, to empower everyone through sport. Because in sport, that is something you can gain just by going to classes or hanging out with friends. But the sportsmanship that we empower with the skills. Like later on, I will explain how that works. And lastly, resilience. Mr. Chu mentioned something. The SEM has reluctant to hire the ethnic minority. And because they don't change the mindset, how to change mindset is they have to reach out, they have the opportunity to engage with the ethnic minority first. And then they explore more, they help them to change the mindset. And when they change the mindset, either SME or the ethnic minority they sell, their life and the job opportunity will change, the whole society change. And given this in mind, this project, I would love to engage the government, the corporate, the business, and the community together. Use sport as one of the tool to enhance these three visions. These three wishes I have in my heart. And in here, we will through different sports. That will be a group sport in different districts. I know a lot of coaches. We can gather these coaches in different districts, like in Kowloon City here, or in Wong Tai Sin, or in Sai Kung, or in, like I went to Causeway Bay. So we have formed a small group. We practice every once a week or twice a week. So we physically meet each other. So we can form a bonding together. Without the bond, we just do it alone. It's torture. It's not going to work that well. My friend called me this morning because she cannot do it on her own. She feels lonely, so she needs a companion. So we use this one to build a group together. And then later on, we also send some individual training you can do at home, like some fitness training you can do at home, push up, sit up, all that. And then through this training, actually, but there's one thing, one element need to add here is the training and coaching. For this sport is for different age. My friend this morning is at age of 40s. And then we have here at age teens, 20s, everyone is sports. This is not age discrimination for everyone here. And for some of the ladies like at my age, I have other parents I know that they are are aged that they don't really work because they had to take good care of kids. But these mothers are powerful. But given if we use sport to reunite them together, to give them proper training, to give them opportunity to communicate, to build a relationship. Once they get this mindset change and the skills, they will change the skills into other form to empower them later on to change to as a workforce to enter the work market, not just sit silently at home as a domestic wife. And the youth can empower them to be a future coach as well. So we give all this mentorship and program inside within this project here. And my target is to change a person to be an ultimate you. Everyone wants to ultimate you and to be a confident you. Lastly, is to unstoppable. Once you get your engine started, your car going to roll and roll again. We never stop. And finally, in this project, we will have celebration. Without celebration, without sharing the joy you have been go through with friends, it's not fun. So we would like to have different kind of celebration here. Like in this picture, you see that is one the event they host before, that we can have this celebrate together and to let people to feel the joy. It is the main purpose to feel the vibrate with as a group, to feel the vitality as a group as well. Like I said earlier, this project is to teach me we rise by lifting others. We want, even I'm in my level or Mr. Lai at a principal level, you can lift up your youngest teacher to be a principal one day, or to affect your student to be, it's going to happen, right? It will. Yeah, and Mr. Leung is a principal for 4 months, but you can start looking for your future principal already to groom it. So this is how we live others, not just everyone we can help around us. And by doing this project, my ultimate goal is to build a community that we have missed so much, a community that we all have in our heart, in our brain. And by doing this project, we can hold our hands together, helping each other, and to build a community with diversity, with confidence, caring, everything is positivity, empathy, and love as well. And I believe this city, Hong Kong, has been in the past 60 years or over 100, 200 years have been like this and will be like this with everyone holding hand again with a project like about challenge. We hold our hands together to go through the challenge together. That's my hope for the project to succeed and to implement in this year.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. I think we all benefit from your sharing. We know sport for all, and then sport is a very good vehicle to help build the motivator for all of us, particularly for those to maintain a drive and particular to build resilience in the particular point in time. We're going to have Tiffany to share with us. You can share with us about Upower, right? Are you going to share with us? Thank you so much.
Okay, so Mr. Chu, Mr. Lai, Mr. Ho, and Mr. Leung, Mr. Nelson Dev, and fellow guests, good afternoon. This is Tiffany. So thanks for having me today to represent Upower to showcase the project that we have done so far. So a little bit background about us. Okay, so a little bit background about us. Upower is a social enterprise, and we advocate for the right of the disabled, and we discover new employment opportunities for the disabled and their employer. At the same time, we want to build a society with inclusion and diversity. Some of you might ask, what is inclusion and what is diversity? So inclusion basically is something like an effort and a practice that held by an organization in which people with different backgrounds, they are equally treated in terms of socially and culturally. and they are welcome, they are accepted by the general public. While diversity in a nutshell is the things like empower people by respecting them, appreciating them, like what makes them different. It can be in terms of gender, sexual orientation, and disability. Okay, so as a social enterprise, we hope we can strengthen and grow in the social enterprise sector, but at the same time, we emphasize on affirming a stronger and deeper social impact with people who are marginalized because of their disability. And before we dive into the project that we have done so far, let's have a look how our value can influence people with disability and other sector in the society. So on a micro personal level, people with disability, Upower will help them to discover their skills and their potential through a series of training programs. And this will help them to enhance their self-esteem as well as the upward social mobility through different new skill set. And it is not only a personal, it is not only will improve their personal quality of life, but it also can benefit and has a positive impact on the company that they are working in. As I think sustainability is the top agenda of many multinational companies and also small business corporations around the world. And it is not simply about environmental issue, but it is also about the social dimensions, and sustainability incorporates anti-discrimination and equal opportunities and also social inclusion. We believe that the close interaction between these aspects implies that improving accessibility for the disabled has much to do in enhancing the sustainability. And the people with disability, they are full of talent, creativity and innovation that in the society that are not really appropriately utilized really well. So we think if we can provide them with more opportunities, they will definitely create more market for products and services that are accessible and decided for all. At the same time, the company can also benefit from better reputation, brand image, and also corporate cultures. Regarding the society, so with more people with disabled employed, social stigma and also prejudice will likely be outed. And yeah, less discrimination, and also the society will be more welcoming towards the disabled. And last but not least, the government. So as Upower will provide training and also job opportunities for the disabled, this means that the government can somehow spend less on this area and reallocate the resources to other areas, for example, improving the accessibility for education and also public services. Yeah. Okay, so as what I mentioned before, these three areas are what Upower are focusing on. They are the creating job opportunity for the disabled, relieve poverty, and now empower people with challenges. And let's have a look at the project that we have done so far. Let's begin with the job opportunities first. As you can see from the picture here, this is Upower online platform that we built for the disabled, and we train the disabled to sell the products from our partner supplier, Yo-Yo Kitchens. And we also dedicate ourselves in providing the e-commerce platform and suitable tools for them to build their network, their business network, so they can sell the products, right? And we believe that this opportunity will allow them to earn the income that help them to have a more independent lifestyle and also enhance their self-confidence as a whole. Yeah. Okay, so the next will be relieve poverty. And this is the project that we have done so far. That is called Before we accompanying low-income family living in Jiwenshan district through the winter by providing them with the daily necessity that are donated from some entrepreneurs. And it is not only a one-way support, but also they have written a thank you card to express their gratitude to their assistant. And next will be empower people with challenges. So we have the live re-engineering program and network support provided for our trainees and also members. Regarding the live re-engineering program, this is a 2 to 3 months certified training program provided for our members, and it helps them to foster their personal development and also encourage the process of self-discovery. Yeah, and we believe that it will unleash the full potential of themselves. And next will be our network support. We create a community, allow them to support each other, share their experience on how they sell the products, and also they like the daily necessity, like how they support each other. We provide this community for them, and we ensure that they will never be left alone because of their disability. Yeah, and this is our support. And Upower believe that we are making our small effort to empower people with possibility and to inspire the humanity. Yeah, and this is my presentation today. Thank you.
We are so inspired, by the sharing. As we know, okay, we have more than 700,000 population in Hong Kong who are actually suffer from disability, all kinds of disability, mobility disability and hearing disability and visually despair. We know that's a big issue there, and then we're glad to see this project actually to bring all the stakeholders together, community, and we can see the product. As far as we know, there's just single product on board, and then I think there's a lot of merchants. They are more than welcome to support the project, right? Yeah. And then I think we are going to have a dialogue in the coming time. Okay, let's invite Brigitte to have a sharing on hard to hear. Okay, and at first, Brigitte is going to share. Are we going to invite the partner and co-founder of the project, Lianna, she's now studying in UK, and then I think both of you are going to share together in parallel.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm Brigitte, and thank you for inviting me today to speak here. It has been a pleasure. Follow up. We're gonna introduce our foundation, Hard to Hear, which me and Lianna co-founded. So Lianna, will you want to start first?
Yes, sure. Janice, do you mind sharing the slides? Or yeah, thank you. So hi everyone. I'm Lianna, and I will be speaking with my partner Brigitte today on the founding of Hard to Hear and our story on accessibility, inclusion, and diversity. First, I would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude for this amazing opportunity, and also thank you for all the valuable sharing made by previous speakers.
Lianna, we cannot hear you.
Okay, so sorry for what just happened just now. Do you guys want to hear what I just said? And how does it feel not being able to hear suddenly? Apologies first. I actually intentionally muted myself, but I just want to bring a point forward to show how it feels to not be able to hear. That was just 3 seconds of an inaudible sharing by me, but what about a lifetime of an inability to hear clearly, or even a complete hearing loss? Like, how would you feel? And this is the reason why Hard to Hear is established. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I will begin with a short story of my grandma, and this is why Brigitte and I are inspired to create this foundation, Hard to Hear. My grandma, who started to be experiencing a impaired hearing 10 years ago, she had such a great passion with music, but the inability to hear now made it very difficult for her to continue with her passion, because you cannot grasp the correct pitch, and it's very difficult to notice like if you went out of pitch, etc. And not only feeling so disheartened, the difficulty in communicating also distanced herself from her friends. Just note that she is one of the many who suffered from an impaired hearing. And they always share a common trait where they fear that they will become a burden to people around them whenever they ask someone to repeat a question. Think of it, it's not easy to tell that someone has a difficulty in hearing, not until you talk to them in person. And the pandemic has actually made things worse and even more challenging for them, because with the mask on their face, it's even harder to notice what they are saying. This group of minorities is always easily forgotten in society because of the difficulty in identifying them. Unlike, I understand that there is a very big ongoing issue with like ethnic minorities, but at least you can tell from their skin color. But for people with impaired hearing or complete hearing loss, you cannot tell until you speak to them. They may be discriminated unintentionally because of the subtle differences on their outlook, and therefore accessibility, inclusion, and diversity play a very crucial role in diminishing this problem in Hong Kong. And now I will pass on to Brigitte to share more with you about the
Hard to Hear was founded last summer, me and Lianna, and like through situation of COVID-19, we have understand difficulties of being impaired, of having impaired hearing. So our vision is to seek like equal opportunities for those with impaired hearing and help them to integrate into the community. Because as Lianna said, they are always have been forgotten in the society and always have been like cut out of their voice. So that's why we aim to promote a variety of information to the general public for the society to acknowledge this minority group in Hong Kong. And also our mission, our ultimate mission is to increase the awareness and respect and inclusiveness to those with impaired hearing in Hong Kong and beyond, even in the global vision. So because due to the COVID-19 situation, we're not able to help some face-to-face activities or like even like home visit with people with impaired hearing. So we expand our promotion and to spread our awareness through social media or Instagram. If you guys want to, you can follow us. And this Instagram, we post a lot of informative posts to share the awareness. For example, we release posts to encourage people to communicate people with impaired hearing and also share the difficulties during COVID-19, because as Lianna mentioned, with all this masks, we cannot it was hard for people with impaired hearing to read our lips, which we will often ignore because we're not part of the community. That's why we want to share this information. And also for like some fun fact, we also recommend some movies and series online. So like us as like a big community who can know more about this minority group in Hong Kong, to know more about them in an entertaining way, and we provide a lot of more different information as well. So feel free to follow our Instagram. Yeah. And then I'll pass on to Lianna.
Yeah. Thanks, Brigitte. Yeah, and then underneath our umbrella like startup project, Hard to Hear, we are creating a new fashion brand called Able. Yes. So the reason why we use Able is because we believe that the word disabilities convey a very negative message to the audience, whereas the word able means empowering. And this links back to the topic of today's forum, which is accessibility, inclusion, and diversity. Social empowerment is very important. And we believe that through this brand, we wanted to raise awareness on a broader message of equality, inclusion, and diversity. We are planning to hold a t-shirt design competitions in March, where we will involve like people's design which conveys the same message as this brand. And then we hope that we can create a fashion with a purpose, fashion with a conscience, and a fashion brand that delivers this positive message to the society. So yeah, next page, please.
So to end our sharing, I would love to share 2 quotes. Kindness is the language that the blind can see, the deaf can hear, and also be the change that you wish to see in the world. So I will just share a little bit of my experience here. So as an ethnic minority, I'm from Hong Kong, but also as a Cameroonian. I'm an ethnic minority here, but also the majority in the society. So I totally understand, like, as an ethnic minority, you will always be getting ignored, and your voice is always just being ignored by society. But the majority, you always want to help this kind of this community, but you don't know how to. So that's why our aim on Hard to Hear is that we want to help this kind of people, to hear them and to help them in different ways to increase the inclusiveness in this society, and also to be the change in the world that we want to be. Because of the new generation, we always feel really powerless in this world, I believe, because we don't have any power yet. But then since we're all growing, we should all grow in the same as a community, and to use our little power to change the world. And this is our sharing. Thank you.
Yes, and sorry, I just have
I
one
think
addition.
all the audience here physically and also on virtual meeting inspired, by our young heart here. Thanks, Brigitte, and also Lianna from UK. Both you have a very good sharing and enlightening of us. And now we're going to have a sharing section here. Today we have actually, we are privileged to have policymaker here. We have Undersecretary Mr. Jonathan Ho, and also we learn more about the legal framework, how the ordinance in Hong Kong help us to eliminate discrimination. And then we have very bright education here, Principal Lai and also Principal Leung. They all embrace diversity education, okay, and also quality education by leveraging on technology. Of course, a lot of quality teaching facility and also teacher here. Now, okay, we are facing a challenge. Actually, the challenge is about how to help Hong Kong to be more embracing, in terms of because Hong Kong is an international city, and now we are facing, COVID-19, and then we have a lot of challenge. But still, we know that all of us, okay, are doing a lot of, very positive things about challenge by using sport and also to help people to build resilient mindset. And Upower is trying to use technology to create opportunity and also to bring merging together to build a inclusive society. On one hand, to resolve the poverty, at the same time to create some wellness for those underprivileged. That's very noble. And Hard to Hear is a brand new project. I still remember from the last year, we have a community shaper program, which is a hackathon, and then around 100 very young mind, bright young mind over the world. We have a 28-hour program, and we have just virtually meet with each other on internet. And we have a team, the team, not just a very young team from office, around 4-5 colleagues. And then we organize a international conference, and that's all enlighten us to think something bigger than what we have now. Will any of you share about your vision? Because we all heard about your presentation. And then I think this is the first time for three of you and also Lianna to sit together. And then we want to do something because we have a policymaker here. And do you want something, make a wish to try to advocate some policy change or, some enlightening. So maybe you can share your mind, okay?
Maybe I will go first. Okay. So, Upower, we target at people with disability, but I think one of the issues we face is that we cannot really group those people together, like they are quite separated. Even we have the networking and even we have the community, but we think we can have more people to come to this community and share this experience. Also, as Nelson has mentioned, Upower leverage technology to provide courses to our members, but at the same time, we think we can provide more online training instead of face-to-face due to the COVID situation now. And I believe that the technology equipment is quite is essential. But yeah, we just need one more people like the disabled from the society to join us and to unleash their full potential as well as contribute back to the whole society in the future.
We just heard the sharing from Principal Leung, and then I do have some enlightening about the learning and teaching. I was just thinking aloud, if it's possible to have some sort of training through the internet and also rising on technology to bridge the learning and teaching gap. That's, I think, are you going to, have some, wish on that? Okay, so to help those people to do more empowerment.
Yeah, I think the technology, for example, Zoom that we are using today, some of them may not willing to turn on their camera on, so the interaction between the speaker and also the audience may not be enough. So I wish we can have some technology or tools that allowed people, even it's online forum, but have more interaction between each of them. That would be really great. Yeah, that would be better than now.
Yeah. So that's very important to for those people who are actually marginalized in the society. I think it's not just limited to people with disability. Maybe people with some underprivileged condition. Okay. If they can, access to quality education and quality training, and actually to receive some support to help them to be empowered in one way or the others. I think that's good to have a platform to help them to have a chance to gain back, the opportunity and move back in the mainstream job market. I think that's good for the whole Hong Kong. Alex, as far as we know, okay, you're an expert in sport, and then to help people to have a fit mindset. Do you think you can do something on that?
To echo what Mr. Principal Leung talked about earlier about school, okay? A lot of time the students are prepared in school, in secondary school or in college. But when they land on the job market, they're always the employer complain. You are not prepared well for this job. You can't communicate. You are lack of this. There's a long list of skills that they are lack of. Why this happen? We may know the reason. I may not know the reason. But I want to use sport here because I see myself. I see the people around me. Sport not only giving you sense of confidence, but also prepare a person to communicate. When you see the picture, I go around to run with people, and in the program, what I want to embed there is a coach leading another person's hand to mentor the younger person or someone similar like my age as a mother who hasn't been in the job market for a long time, but we exercise together. We tell them about what is out there about the job market. You can do this. You can is the trend now. Would you like to give a try? We can, through this indirect engagement with them, to teach them the communication skills and empower them the latest development in the job market, so then they can prepare well when they go out to the job market. From secondary student, college student, or those underemployed as well. We use the sport as a tool only to empower them, to equip them the latest knowledge, latest communicate skills. So when they step back to the society, the employer may not think that you are not employed for so long and you still are able to communicate well. How come? So I want to use this one as a tool to create the mindset change, because I believe one thing. Sometimes we sit on the chair for too long, we forget so many things. And one thing, if we move our body, our whole environment move, and then when everything moves, everything change, everything can transform to a better life, better future. And this could be a ripple effect. Start from us and then extend to everyone around us. That's how the job market can change, how the people around them can change from unemployed to underemployed, and later to be fully employed. And for some students, a shine in school, and they can stay on the stage to talk, and later go to a show in China, somewhere in Beijing to perform. This is how step by step. And sport is a tool for everyone together as a whole, and use this one as a stepping stone.
For sharing, we know that the benefit from sport, from building a team to reach out and know each other well. At the end, a self-motivator, and also to help us to set a goal and to achieve more and do more. I think that's very, very noble cause, and that's very enlightening. And Brigitte, you're so young. At first, we know you're still, studying in secondary school, and then we have, educator here. What do you think, and how do you think to help more youngsters in Hong Kong, to help them to develop a growth mindset, like what you and Lianna has been sharing? I think it's so. I like the idea so much, and then. My dream is to have more youngsters like both of you, and of course, Alex and also Tiffany, to develop more brilliant idea to help Hong Kong to have a sustainable development in the future. So can you share a little bit about your personal journey?
So like to answer, I would just start with answering Nelson's question of like, I have a wish, what would I wish for? If I would wish like this world, or just like teenagers in general, to have more communication. I feel like in this era we have like, I don't want to say we have everything we want, but then we're living in a world full of like different resources, especially like the technology and like the access on like different information. We have so many resources on learning what we want to, but then sometimes it's just like lack of communication with like different people that stop us from learning more stuff and understanding more different perspective, which I think is really important, because learning different more like perspective from different angles actually help you to broaden your mindset or just like knowledge in general. And that's why like hard to hear. Before I met Lianna, I never even thought of like how people with disability live in Hong Kong. But then after I communicate with Lianna and understand her story, it enlightened me to like, I want to help this group of people. And also like Lianna's like communication with me and with her grandma, that makes us learn so much more, and also like for the sustainable development. I feel like Nelson always said like, as a new generation we have so many to do, but then I also want to like just thank you for giving like us this opportunity to develop and grow at the same time. Because like for sustainable development, like we need to have someone to give and someone to take as well. And Nelson and like this platform is like giving us an opportunity to learn and grow. And like sustainable development is all about communicating with like, yeah, like what I said, different perspective and also like through different age and different race as well. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think Brigitte, do you want me to add on
Yeah, sure,
to a bit?
please.
Yeah. Yeah. So in answer to Nelson's question, I think one of the issue I spotted in the like nowadays teenagers in Hong Kong is the difference between individualism and community. I think Hong Kong's teenager is tending towards more an individualistic view. That's why, as Brigitte said, we lack communication. Whereas I feel that education and also technology can promote a better community on the whole, which have, of course, inclusion and diversity. I feel that education and technology in the 21st century plays hand in hand because through social media, we all love using social media. We spend so much time on it. So if we can use it for a better means, which is to promote a positive education, social empowerment, and all these positive messages, then it is a really good utilization of social media. And I remember just now, Ms. Alexandra Lo, she mentioned a quote that really enlightened me, which is we rise by lifting others. I feel that if the teenagers nowadays could learn about this concept about we rise by lifting others, the society will be a better place. And I will end this with adding one quote, which is, with great power, there must also be great responsibility. So the more powerful you are, the more education you receive, you have a better responsibility to serve the community. So teenagers now should focus more on educating themselves and adding value to their own asset, which is their brain and their ability. Then they can come and serve us, like serve the whole community. Yeah, thank you.
So what I wish from Upower is just as Lianna just shared. Testing. Okay. So just what she has mentioned, education is one of the important things nowadays, as this not only provide more opportunity for the disabled, but also the general public. We need to teach them to accept people with disability and also those minority in the society, like those social stigma, prejudice, and then can be outed because we educate them, we teach them how to accept and welcome this group of people. So education, yeah, is really important. Yeah.
And for my wish, as a mother, a single mother of 3, who are ethnic minority as well, like Brigitte, as a woman, as a mother, and as someone who works full-time, I really feel that the society need to have to change the mindset. And mindset is not just one day, it's generations. And the generation had to start from now to advocate to education the young kids. I'm a mother. I think that if I don't set myself as a model, they will sit at home and playing games, phones, and not going out. If I don't take them outside for a hike, for a walk, they will be there. They will be sitting inside and they will copy me like a copy machine. My wish is to ignite people around me, or here you can pass this enlightenment back to people around you to start growing this mindset, a change mindset to grow in the society, to pass this one by one. I know it's slow, it takes time, but I'm sure this one we see almost a dead end in front of them now. Oh, but that is like Mr. Ho say, it's time. You see a dead end risk means that opportunities. So we take this one to change the mindset and help our next generation to be a better person, to build Hong Kong as a great city for international tourism, again, for greater financial society as well. That's my wish. We hold our hands each other and help each other.
I would like to leave the question time to the floor and also on the virtual space. Any question from the floor here? Anyone? Okay.
I would like to. Alexandra, I would like to give a reply to your question first, Principal Leung. Well, you questioned about the purpose of education. Well, quoting the complaint of the employers, saying he or she's not ready for the jobs, right? But to me, I think education, the purpose, the fundamental purpose of education is not preparing anyone for jobs. No, our community, not just Hong Kong, I think our global village has made something wrong in their concept, even in planning alone, okay? Education fundamentally is not for the purpose of jobs. I understand that our Undersecretary, the beloved, is now doing a PhD degree in philosophy. Okay, how can you make ends meet with a philosophy degree? No, hopeless, right? Hopeless. If you think that way, hopeless. But I agree that, well, quite a number of young people these days got some issues to be attended to, as Lianna has just mentioned about. What I think is that you are very observant. You raise a very good issue about individualism and the sense of belonging to community. You hit the crust of the issue. I think education is about developing a young person, helping this young person, young being, to integrate into the community he belongs to and get connected. Getting connected is very, very important, and can get connected with other beings, this community, for the good, for the benefits, for future development of that community. I think that's the fundamental purpose of education. And I think this is something universal, not just to our Chinese culture. It's the same thing to Western culture. I think you raised a very good point for discussion. And this is the venue of this seminar this afternoon. We'll spend the whole afternoon here. The purpose is that, well, to get everyone here, number one, connected. We get connected this afternoon and start thinking something, to get some kind of self-reflection, to look at ourselves, what we have been doing in a position, me as a principal, or you as a principal as well, and he as a secretary, and you as a volunteer in the community. So this is very important. Thank you for raising this point. Lianna, you raised a very good point. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Any more questions from the floor?
Thanks for the sharing. Because some of your ideas has inspired me so much. Thank you very much. Particularly for the Alexandra Lo, I will have a question to ask you because I'm too shy to take a photo of your slides. So, actually, I want to do so, but okay, I want to ask you one question. I know that you are a mother of 3 kids, right? You look too young to be a mother of 3 kids, actually. What factors that attracted you to be a sportsman again after being a mother? Your ideas is very good. Lifting the others through doing some exercise, is this idea inspired me a lot. Thank you very much. I want to know that what factors that, because actually I like to do some exercise before. I think several years ago, before I was a AP. Before I was an AP, I like doing exercise, but after to be an AP, it is too busy for me to do exercise even at midnight. Yeah, usually I would like cycling at around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. But I'm living in Mountain Shan, and I cycling to go to the typo and then backward around 1 o'clock back home around 1 o'clock a.m. Yeah, but now I gave up already. What attracted you to be a sportsman again?
There are two reasons. Health is the #1 asset for everyone, not only for me, for everyone. Without health, everything going to collapse very fast. And this is one reason I realized that after I have kids for about three kids, my body explode. It's fine for me to think about myself. Do I want that happen to me? Do I want diabetes when I'm at the age 35 or age 40? So that is one thing. Realize that without good health, nothing going to be impossible. I'm going to be in the hospital, even though I have $1 million, or I'm studying a master, going to a principal, but nothing going to happen. I can't do anything. The second reason is very personal. It is at the age around 30s, I got lost. Got lost in the sense is I don't know what is ahead of me. Okay, I call middle age crisis. Okay, so I was thinking, a mother as a mom, and also have been working in the society for a couple of years. How can I advance myself? I don't get any inspiration. But once I get back to sport, it gave me all the energy and confidence again. And I reach out to other societies. That's how I know about Nelson. That's how I know about other organizations in the society like JCI or like Toastmaster. That this I reach out because after I joined sports again. And another thing is, I don't want to see myself falling. The sense of falling is difficult. And I was really lucky. I got mentor and coaches, always like Bill, always keeping pushing me. How are you doing? Let's go and race, let's go and sport. And I feel this one is very important. That's why this project, it needs to be one affects another one. Not just I'm going to do it, but how I'm going to kick Tiffany's and then push her 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. And then later on, she will start the step because she feels guilty not doing it because of me. And I want this one, everyone need a lift up when they are alone, particularly when they are facing challenge. And many of them will not talk to you about this, but you sense it. However, telling another person about, oh, are you okay? Means that they're not okay, then you're asking. So you say, let's go and do sport. Indirectly, you invite a person who are not too okay, but go out and feel the changes. I feel sport changed my life when I was a teen. Now it's changing me again for us another career high again. So I want this one to expand it to other person. And this is a very personal reason why I get back to sport and also inspire my kids. As a next generation, we are all in education as a parent. We have to influence by showing the actual example, doing, not just telling. Thank you. Hope I answer your question.
Even though the forum is almost close to the end, we are so glad to have opportunity to to explore the topic. It's just more than a topic because the diversity and inclusion and also accessibility is much more than access to quality education. And also we know that with the education, with the quality education, all of us have a chance to access to opportunity. We know sport for all, and then we know there's so many global social enterprise and also social project in the pipeline in the society. They're ready to help the society to develop. And then we're looking forward to work hand in hand with each other to build a sustainable Hong Kong. Thank you so much for your contribution into time and all those, lovely sharing. We all learn a lot. You're going to invite our MC. Okay, are you going to have a closing remark on that? Janice is our very capable hand. Okay, she helped in the past 6 months back from state, and then without her and the young team, I don't think we can make the whole project complete. Thank you so much.
So thank you, panel. Oh, sorry. The screen isn't that big. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you, panelists, for the insightful sharing and discussion. I'm certainly very inspired by these really social empowering activities. And I really look forward to hearing more about where all these activities will go towards in the future. So at the end of the panel discussion, our online forum has also come to an end. And on behalf of organizer China-Hong Kong Culture Exchange Association, as well as sponsor Equal Opportunities Commission, thank you all once again for making time to join us here in this afternoon. It's been our pleasure to host this event, and I wish you all a pleasant evening.
So many people we have to thank, and because there's a lot of people on the internet, and before we say goodbye, we have to thank all of them to contribute the time and also participate. And also we have a young team here. I think particular to our chairperson, Jonathan Lai, and our undersecretary, Mr. Ho, and Principal Leung, and all the teacher here with Lei Kao-Yan School. Okay, we all in that to all your contribution, and also our colleague Emily, she contribute a lot on that, and also some student helper, Echo. Echo is from Hang Seng University. She's is a final year student. She helped a lot on the Upower, and also Coco. Coco is our professional photographic. She is also from Hang Seng University, and she contribute a lot. And thank you so much. I am limited in work, and I think you got to have a big photo to thank all of you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.